All right, Inappropriate Earl, we're back doing live one-on-one interviews. I have to apologize to my guest now because it is boiling in my condo, but she's a trooper, and it's why I love stand-up comedy, that you can become strange bedfellows with people from other parts of the industry. But she's done it all. Porn. We have an avian Hall of Fame inductee sitting on my couch right now. Wrestling, acting, improv. You know her, you love her. She's been on Jerry Springer. Her IMDb page is 300 credits. Jasmin St. Clair in the house.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad that you clarified this is your condo, not an apartment.
Yes, it's paid off. When Jasmin walked in, she said, "How many roommates do you have?" Zero.
Okay.
And I forgot exactly how we met.
Oh, I'll tell you how. First of all, I'm Jasmin St. Clair. Thank you so much for listening to Inappropriate Earl. I'm pretty sure I'm more inappropriate than he is. If you want to take your shirt off and it's too hot, you could totally do that. So we met because you were a guest on my podcast and I thought you were hot. And then me and my girlfriend offered you a threesome this weekend, which you declined, but that's it.
Well, I mean, I don't recall the offer being made, but
We did. I said, "Do you want to have a threesome?" Where I was at the bar.
with Veronica, who, by the way, Veronica Kane, is she one of your best friends, or
She's a good friend now. She's becoming, because we're both only children, and we're both we both have something to do with healthcare. And then I think we're like the same star sign almost.
Well, I was not aware of her film work because I don't watch porn.
Right.
It's just not my thing.
Right, and I'm a virgin.
No one believes that I don't watch porn. It's just like, you are a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
Veronica's a beautiful woman. But after a scene with, say, Lexington Steele and well, I don't know who you're friends with and who you're not. I'll just say Lexington Steele and Peter North.
Oh God.
By the way, I have an autographed picture of Peter North. No, Tom Byron.
Oh, Tommy.
And you're in it. I'll show you after. It's a framed pic. My friends used to go to the convention.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tommy is great. I remember when he looked like Ted Nugent. I thought he was really hot, and then I ran into him the HIV testing center one day because we all used to go to the same place to get tested. I eventually graduated into having the doctor come to my house because I'm afraid of needles. So I had 6 tubes of blood drawn from me this morning, and I jumped out of the chair at UCLA. Highly embarrassing moment. But yeah, so I met him there. He wanted to work with me. Are we allowed to curse? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was a total bitch to him. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. What is
sorry.
that?
I'm trying to go live. Sorry about that.
That's cute.
You were a bitch to him.
Of course I was. And that was that. I wasn't a bitch to you. I did tell you, you were sitting at the bar with me and Veronica Kane, and I said threesome because you remind me of something out of like a Hot Tub Time Machine, or like, I don't know, one of those movies, those comedic ones where I don't like a job Apatow. It was just, you remind me of something out of that.
Well, I don't know if my dick is big enough to be with 2 porn girls, but I mean, it ain't small.
It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be big. It's just got to be like the way you use it. Come on. I don't know how this conversation got like so inappropriate. I think I escorted us down that.
No, not at all.
I thought I did. God, what's wrong with me? I got to start escorting people into this filth.
I mean, I might show you my dick pic out of respect, just to go, hey, would this measure up in the porn world? But, I've only done that once with another guest.
And what happened?
He was a gay gentleman.
Oh.
A very well-known actor. And I said, hey, just tell me, would gay guys like this picture? He's like, oh, my God. So, I've often wondered, when you've dated people, I had a friend of mine, very famous musician, drummer. He fell in love or lust, whatever you want to call it, with a porn actress because he saw her films.
What band was he in?
Yeah, I'll tell you off air. I don't want to blow him up, but he said it wasn't that great dating her because sex is her work at the time. So like when she would come home and he would want to like I guess, reenact some of the scenes in her films, she'd be like, "Hey, I'm tired." I like,
And my face like turned blue. I thought it was one of my exes. He was in Slayer. But like I didn't work as often as most girls did, thank God. And it was like I didn't really I mean, who was I dating? I was dating a Playgirl centerfold. I two-timed this guy in the Scorpions to be with this Playgirl centerfold. I
wait,
got
what guy in the
busted.
Scorpions?
This,
Okay, oh, what, you don't want to name
no, his
names?
name is Ralph. And yeah,
Okay.
that thing. So then it was just really funny because I'm up at his place and you know, it's Easter and I made a call to the Playgirl centerfold from his phone by accident. This is when Star 67 or Star 69 was around before your time. And then we got a call back. Hello? Yeah, did you just call this number? I didn't make a call from here. Did you call from here? I'm like, no, nobody called from here. Are you sure? No, I didn't. So I got busted, basically, kind of got busted. But I really put the Playgirl centerfold through a lot. He ended up, what happened to him? I forgot what happened to him. I think I don't know. Yeah. I hope he's okay.
The guy from the Scorpions or the
No, the
Playgirl
Playgirl
Centerfold?
Of course, the hot guy.
It's a tough dating when you're in.
In that business, I didn't find it too tough because I didn't really date that much. I was only around it for 2.5 years. The effects of it after, like for 3 years, I was in the business, 2.5, 3 years. Afterwards, that is the aftermath of it. That's a tough time sometimes. So I was dating this one guy who was a video producer for Electronic Arts. Okay. Nerds travel in packs. Now, this guy was a short guy, and I don't like short guys. Everyone that knows me, I do not do anything under 6 feet. So it was like my charity work for the year. And yeah, it's like my charity work for the year with this guy. And he was from Electronic Arts, for crying out loud. I met him at a party. He was like such a lame fuck. But anywho, what happened? Oh yeah. So his friend named Chud, who was this 500-pound man, didn't think it was a good idea for him to date me. So I've never in my life been in competition with the sloth, or the blob, whatever they call it. So, I've lost relationships over stupid things, and someone's sister maybe saw something. Truthfully, at this point, you have to really think positive. Like Charles Manson found someone, so can I.
Well, look at most serial killers. The
Yeah.
Menendez brothers. I mean, they weren't a serial killer. They only killed 2 people. OJ has.
He wasn't a serial killer.
And
I partied with him a few times. I didn't do him, but I just hung out with him.
Before or after the
After.
murders? And like, how does one party with OJ Simpson?
Oh, I was really bored with my date at a New Year's Eve party. He was a drug addict, and I've never really been into that type of stuff. I've done like a couple lines of coke here or there, in my time, but OJ was there at another table. His business manager kept eyeballing me. We were speaking, and he had this cute little girl who looked like 19 or 20. She's Caucasian. She looked like Nicole Brown. And then we all went to the boat and hung out. We're drinking. They were doing blow. I don't know what else. Then we're chit chatting. He was really nice.
I mean, he was my neighbor growing up. He was cool with me.
Brentwood?
Bel Air. This is when he really had money.
Really?
How
hot?
Was OJ?
You, not him.
Oh, me in Bel Air.
That's kind of cool.
I mean, it didn't suck.
Did you ever have sex with your maid?
Almost with my tutor, but my brother was, it was a different era back then. So when teachers were fucking their students, it was kind of cool.
Hero teachers.
She was blonde, huge tits.
Yeah.
My type. I mean, I'm a booby guy, so especially when I was 14.
God, too bad I had my boobs reduced. Ugh.
That's really, You
want my old implants?
What? So, long story short, my brother told my mom, "Hey, this girl's touching me inappropriately," and I didn't get to. I was supposed to get her the next week.
Oh, God,
so I was really bummed out. Now, let's get back to your implants. You had implants for porn?
No, I had them long before that.
But why?
Oh, before that, I had boobs like a 16-year-old. They were like 34B, 34AB. They're really cute. I have photos of them. And then when I was 21, I was dating this Irish mobster, and he got me some. Then I ignored him. Then I moved out here, and then I wanted them a little bigger, specifically to be in magazines, and I got 36 double Ds. When I took them out, they were like 21 years old, like right there, ready to drink. And yeah, now they're a 34C,
That's pretty big.
34BC, but they hang nicely.
I mean, you look very well preserved.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. So do you.
I mean, for 53, I do my best.
Really?
I
When's your
work
birthday again?
September 17th,
What are you, Libra?
Virgo.
Oh, you're a virgin.
No, I mean, for a non-celebrity, I've done all right with girls, but this podcast isn't about me, Jasmin.
Oh, I know, but you're just so hot.
I mean, I'm all right. I'm like that. I'm not like model good looking, but I'm like Clint Eastwood good looking.
Right, you don't have a man bun.
I've had long hair before, down to my ass.
What a mullet.
No, it was like very 80s metal, very I'm trying to think who Kenny G, but like Ted Nugent style. Like,
see, I always liked guys like that growing up. Like nowadays, you don't see them. You see guys with mullets, but like what people fail to realize, I have this serious fascination with mullets. Okay, mullets that is not a haircut; it is a lifestyle. So it's mulletry. Now mullets ride usually like Harley Davidsons. Mullets have PBR beer usually, some kind of cheap beer. A real date with a mullet will be something like Perkins, Sizzler, stuff like that.
I've never had a mullet. By the way, for those of you watching on Instagram Live, we are talking with the legendary
Hi.
Jasmin St. Clair.
Hi, Greg.
She really needs no introduction. We've got a lot of fans listening. A lot of feedback from when I took a picture with you and Veronica.
Oh, yeah?
Shared it online.
Oh, yeah?
And because we were at the most recent XPW, what was it called?
That was called Beautiful Disaster.
Beautiful Disaster with the most violent main event. Because I went to XPW shows back in the day.
Right.
At the sports arena when I think the main event was Terry Funk and Sabu with a tag team match. And I can't say the tag team name. It's called the West Side.
Oh, West Side. I love those guys.
But another word.
Yeah, I remember them. I really love those guys.
And they had merch.
I remember.
Which was there's like little kids running around in a West Side.
I have a shirt from that still.
I mean, so I'm a fan of XPW. At Birmingham High, they had a match where Supreme almost died twice with botched ladder stunts. Is it fair, since you are an XPW, not an employee, but a
original?
You're an OG XPW. When people ask me to describe XPW, I tell them it's like ECW with less planning and budget.
No, it's ECW on steroids.
Right. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think Rob's gonna do really. Rob Black is the owner, by the way, guys, and girls and kids. So I think he's gonna do really well because Southern California has lacked something like this in quite some time, and I don't know what else there really is out there. I've been to PCW Ultra. They have great shows and really nice people there. But I think XPW has a really good home. My mom said that we all need therapy who were there. I don't know if she was joking, because then you put it into 3 parts. Like fans that go there, I mean, maybe some of them don't want to see themselves suffer, but they'll go watch other people do it. The guys who do to themselves, and then obviously girls that think that's hot. So there are 3 sets of people that need therapy.
I mean, there were many women that night. Well, maybe I shouldn't say many. It's definitely a male heavy audience. But the women who were there, I know that they would make love with either Big F and Joe or Schlack. I mean, Schlack's married.
He's married.
Oh, I thought there was some
They're
lady.
both married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh wow, these guys are. I mean, Schlack looked like he'd been shot.
Yeah, I know.
So sometimes I feel guilty about liking it because I had a great time watching this.
You should.
But I feel bad because like these guys are putting their lives on the line. I mean, one false move, and like when I saw Supreme twice. I mean, he legit almost died. And I feel, oh, maybe I shouldn't like this as much as I
Well,
do.
you should. And it's a good thing there's a ringside doctor. I had a discussion with him afterwards for the next show. Just because I, by accident during the pandemic, I came into the whole medical field.
Right.
Before that, I went to school to become a phlebotomist. So I shouldn't really be screamed at by blood, but yet they took 6 tubes of blood from me this morning and I was freaking out over a butterfly needle. So I told them I'll just bring some vitamins the next time to just stick an IV in people's arms and just let that shit flow through it because people need it. Like they need it. And it's a good thing, Veronica was helping out, with Schlack's injury because that sock was bright red and it was not red when you walked into the ring. It was red afterwards.
Yeah. For those of you, there was a, I don't know if it was a tournament, but it was several death match matches. And Schlack and Big F and Joe were the main event. And I've seen some very, very violent XPW matches. Vic Grimes.
Oh, yeah.
New Jack. And Homeless Jimmy, I think was his name.
Oh, yeah.
Pogo the Clown. I know we're doing a deep dive into the XPW.
Damien Steele. No, he didn't get the Damien get.
I mean, I remember the most violent guys being those, especially Vic Grimes. I was at the, I think it was the Olympic Auditorium where New Jack threw him off.
Yeah, that scared me.
That's still to this day, I show that clip to people going, this is how XPW rolls. And for those of you not knowing what I'm talking about, New Jack, I don't know how he didn't get sued.
I got chills now.
He tased Vic Grimes several times. Because in wrestling, you don't know if it's real or not. Is he really tasing him, or is it just
choreography for sure? Whether or not someone's body hit the mat, I got into it with a woman. I had my XPW t-shirt on at the store, and she's like, "It's fake." I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's choreographed."
Yes.
Did you see someone's body hit the mat, bitch? Yes. Okay. Is that blood on that girl's face? Yes. And those girls are brutal. The girls' tournament was amazing, and I think all of them just had such amazing talent. Tanya Valkyrie is now the women's champion, which is great. We've never had a women's champion, but these girls, they're so pretty, some of them. And it's like there's blood. I'm like, oh, okay. Must you do that?
I mean, I really enjoyed the women's, I guess it was a tournament for the first ever XPW champion. And the girl from Florida, I'm drawing a complete blank with the tattoos.
Dark hair or blonde hair?
Blonde hair. She bled.
Dreads?
Yes.
Really long hair?
Yes.
Really pretty face?
Yes.
That's Camille.
We took a picture together.
She's
and
so pretty.
It was one of the most erotic. No, I don't mean this in a perverted way, but she was bleeding. I've never seen a woman bleed before like that. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in AEW, but like she looked beautiful. Is my point. Like, oddly enough, like she's that pretty where her forehead was had an open wound.
It's really hot.
What?
I think cutting someone and having sex with them in their own blood is really hot. I love cutting guys and having sex with them in their own blood. Seriously. And I said this once when I was in an Uber pool, like when Uber pool was a thing. And then there's like some creepy guy in the back seat. He looked like he probably kisses his mom. And he's like, "Oh, that's really hot." I just said it to shut them up because everyone was drunk from a club. And I said, I love to cut men and have sex with them in their own blood. And that is a fact that nobody really knows this. Yeah.
I mean, listen, we probably wouldn't make a great couple because I definitely would not be down with that. But to each his own, I guess.
Maybe I should call my therapist.
I mean, that seems like a very niche sexual desire. But who am I? What's
you've never done that before?
I'm pretty vanilla with sex. To be honest.
Poor Earl.
Well, I mean, I can take care of business, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to be playing in my own blood to get you off, I'll tell you that much. I mean, but But that's the thing with women who've done porn, and you weren't in it that long, so I almost don't like calling you a porn
No,
actress.
I would say I'm more of a catalyst of shock culture and American I am the voice of shock culture in the 90s. And that's perfectly fine. I like having that title, being a catalyst in American shock culture, being the voice of shock culture, because you think about it, like so many people came along afterwards. I basically opened the doors for these hosts to get onto Springer and to what else? What was that? And Stern. And Stern I owe a lot to. I had a really good time on Howard Stern's show. I was a big fan of his because like I grew up listening to heavy metal, and dreaming about cutting guys and having sex with them with their own blood. That totally did not happen till I was like 23.
And
Huh?
well, let's get into it. So the first time it happened, did you ask the guy, "Hey, I'm into some weird shit. Can we do this?"
No, because it wasn't weird shit. He was also an Irish mobster, and we were having arguments. He threatened to blow my head off. Like it's not even a big deal to me at this point. We still argue to this day. We've had numerous restraining orders back and forth. Um, we're like friends to this day. But what do you say? Oh, he wanted to cut my head off and put it on a stick, whatever it was. Then I cut him. But there's so much like great passion between us that it just kept going. It was kind of hot. So from that day on, I became obsessed.
Yeah, okay. When you date someone that's outside of the business, what's the toughest part?
If they're married,
Well,
uh
that would, I guess, a
I
wife
forgot
would
that
cause
part.
problems.
Yeah. How's married life? What's the toughest part? Okay, so so it just depends. Like this is why people wonder, well, why is it you date usually like bad boys or people that society judges? Because those guys won't judge me, neither will their families. So it's really tough because some people like my ex-husband, we were married for like less than a year, no kids, thank God. It was like, oh well, are you ever gonna go back to porn? My dad saw this. My mom and his mother would call. She had the same exact haircut as Violet Beauregard in the Willy Wonka Johnny Depp version, that Washington housewife helmet haircut. He's my only son. I'm like, do you fuck him or something, lady? Like you're getting overly possessive. Well, I just want. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh God, people. The dad saw me on Stern. He was a big Stern fan. Yet he went into the basement to play video games with girls half his age. So go figure. It's always
Underage girls?
yeah, it's always like the moral majority of people. This moral majority is what I call them. And yeah, they judge you, but that's the hardest part of dating where people get so wrapped up in your past. Hey, are we gonna like and like no, bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I speak out about underage stuff, but
Me too. They were like 19 or 20.
well, that's my thing is anything above 18, I don't have a problem with.
It's impressionable though, and you're a dirty piece of crap, old white man in a basement in Snohomish, Washington, and you have daughters that age, and you're playing video games and talking to these girls. How about talking to your own daughters? But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well, as an older gentleman myself, every girl I date is going to be younger than me.
how
So
much younger?
um,
Why don't you date girls your own age?
I'm not around them.
How are you not around them?
When you're at a comedy club, there's virtually no women in their 50s, late 40s.
How? Well, then what the fuck is wrong with these people? So my friend, he's single. He works for TMZ. I call him Bubbles. That's my nickname for him. And I always yell at him because he looks good for an older Jewish guy with his fedora hat. And he went out with this woman that was 37. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? He's like, well, she's age appropriate. I'm like, no, she is not. That is old. She's too old for you. So it's just, I always put my male friends in check when they like go out with someone age appropriate.
I mean, in theory, you should date people your own age,
Fuck that. Oh,
or around your age. A couple years difference either
no.
way. But with me in particular,
Uh-huh.
I'm only around usually younger female comics or writers. So I'm not around a 45-year-old woman.
You need to go around them. So like only the cool ones. What we should do is go to like the Palisades or Malibu to a bar where they have all the divorcees that want to get laid.
And you'd be my wing woman.
Exactly.
And not that you need my help, but I'm a great wingman.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe it'll be some crazy cuck that wants to have a threesome.
I mean, I never had a threesome as crazy as, well, because I'm really into pleasing the woman. I got that from my mother. She said, you please the woman, they will always come back.
Okay, but you were offered a threesome this past weekend.
I don't recall the offer.
Guys, he forgot that he was offered a threesome. I suggested it with me and Veronica, and he's forgetting that. So I'm just letting everyone know.
I recall Veronica saying, I have a young boyfriend. So
yeah, she does actually.
and I don't.
She's in love right now.
That's great.
What?
She's in love, right?
Yeah, okay.
But why would she want to have a threesome with me?
Because you're hot.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
You should my friend's gonna have a baby shower. I'm trying to get like a male stripper for that. Then they're telling me it's a bachelorette parties that have male strippers, not baby showers. So I don't know if I'm asked backwards on that now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been a stripper at a baby shower. I think it's bachelorette parties they have them at.
Oh.
So where are these bars at in the Palisades where there's a bunch of horny divorcees?
Yeah, it's that gazebo right in the Palisades Village. And then there's they're like just places around there, and they all go to Pilates around there. I'll go with you though.
And you know them.
I know of them. I usually go after some of the guys sometimes that they might like, just to be a jerk.
Let me get into this, and then this is the last thing we're going to talk about in terms of adult films. My first paid comedy gig was $2,500, and you almost have something to do with it, because I think, what year was your film where you tried to break the record?
Oh, where I did break the record, please. It was April 25th, 1996.
Because about 2000, I was offered $2,500 to, I was not told what the gig was, but I was told there was going to be hundreds of people there, and they were trying to break your record of, I think yours was 300.
301.
Well, we're going to get into the specifics, but to wrap up my end of this story, they were going to try and see with this one girl, 500 guys. They wanted me to do, I guess, what stand up, but more or less crowd work, keeping the guys in line entertained. And I've never seen the girl since.
Did you take it?
No, it's odd. We became friends the day of the shoot because I was the only guy in the room not trying to fuck her. Mm-hmm. And so she bonded with me. I don't know if they broke the record. There seemed to be a lot, and I only bring this up because you brought it up in your film. They said they were at 500 guys. They were going to break the record with 500 guys, but there only seemed to be about 200 guys in this room.
Do you think 500 guys would show up to fuck that plastic-headed sea donkey if an idiot? No.
But so what we're talking about is there was a genre of
gangbang films.
I guess that's why I love you, because you just get right to it. I'm trying to massage my way into it. There was a genre of adult films where you, Annabelle Chong.
Who?
Oh, you guys not friends?
No, I'm not. I'm joking. Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing in porn.
She was prior. No, she's cool. Actually, she's not doing. I know what she does now for a living. I know where she lives. She's actually not too far from me.
Well, that's the thing in porn. I don't know who's friends and who isn't. Like, that's like, I want to mention some wrestlers' names to you when we get a little more into the wrestling thing, but I don't know if you're friends with them or you hate them.
Annabelle, I was friendly with, yeah.
So her thing was she was a little before you, right?
She was the first one. She didn't get as much publicity as mine. And then anything after that was just whatever, trash. Yeah.
Right. There was Annabelle, yourself. Once again, I'll mention a name, not knowing if you hate this person or not, or your best friends.
She's a hypocrite.
The Houston 500.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Who
how's her real estate career going?
Yeah, her and Harry Reams.
Harry Reams?
He used to sell real estate in Vegas.
There's only one person I know who succeeded in that, but I won't say her name because she uses her real name, and I highly respect her.
Well, real estate is, I have my friend is probably one of the most successful realtors in Beverly Hills, and he's an animal.
Got his phone number?
I do. Like,
oh yeah,
if you need to, no, he's married.
So.
Well, I mean,
I'm joking. I'm fucking with you.
I'll give you his number, and
I'm messing with you.
But he is like, he's the guy who snuck me into the Playboy Mansion. Like, he's he lives for the thrill of the bullshit. And this was the first lingerie party Hefner had since his divorce. So he was like married for a couple years, and it was impossible to sneak into this party. Monty got in like it was nothing. So selling the house is easy to him, but a very tough business. I would not have the stomach to be a realtor with
Well,
how you have to act.
if this other girl did it, anyone can. I think even though she's super smart, it's a matter of taking out your implants, actually studying, and maybe don't have an OnlyFans page.
Do you have an OnlyFans page?
No, I don't.
But why? I mean,
I don't have the patience for that crap. I barely have the patience for Instagram. I just don't have the patience to do this, and this, and like, I focus on my podcast, my acting, and that's it, and my one woman show. Other than that, I don't have the patience to put the content together. I think it's like such a generic thing. A lot of people have it. I just went. I barely have time enough to even run my coffee maker.
But I would think someone of your celebrity stature would clean up on OnlyFans just
I
because
don't want to be. I don't feel like taking my clothes off.
you've been there, done that.
Yeah, it's boring. I haven't taken my clothes off in like since this morning, but like I haven't taken my clothes off in front of a camera in many years. In that respect, and I don't want to.
Right. Do you get offers to, hey, do you want to come back for one film?
Yeah, and I tell them to suck my ass.
That'd be a good porno. I mean, I would hold the camera.
Want to do a blowjob video? No.
Guys, that's been Inappropriate Earl. We got to go. Let's get into ECW.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I'm going to show you a picture upstairs. I have a framed picture of the Sandman bleeding like a stuffed pig. He was one of my favorites.
They do that.
Until I saw him in XPW wrestle at, I believe it was the Olympic Auditorium.
What did he do?
He came out with Major Guns, who I believe
remember her. Yeah,
her real name is Tylene Buck. And there was literally 100 people in this arena that probably seats, I'd guess 5,000.
Yeah, ECW filled it up.
Oh, but this was in the I think the dying days of XPW, and I remember leaving like not crying but going, because I remember Sandman in ECW. He was the king, or one of them certainly, and it's like, wow, like there were so few people in this arena that night. You could hear people talking across the ring, like other fans. Like it was, like my heart hurt for the Sandman. But what got you into ECW?
I was in ECW first, then XPW after. Everyone
Right.
thinks it's well, Rob was starting up XPW wrestling, and when Rob Black wanted to start XPW wrestling, he had the Dudley Boys there, and they had this idea for me to do the pay-per-view. So they collaborated with Rob. So I flew out and did the pay-per-view, and I stayed in touch with them. Then I parted ways with Rob completely. In one of my very passive, immature Jasmin ways, I just never showed up to work because I wanted to do the wrestling. Like I was taking classes from Sue Sexton, who is an original Glow Girl. Then I had gone over to Memphis Championship Wrestling, and I just went back to ECW from there.
And what years were you in ECW?
I started in '98.
So that was still when they were like
99, 2000. Yeah, like I stayed till the end. And it's one of the best companies. And it's a shame that Vince just didn't give them the money to stay afloat, because competition is super healthy in that business.
100%.
I mean, AEW is great. I just think they got too big too fast, like too soon. And, I don't know. It's good to have competition. And what's he going to do? Buy up AEW next?
I mean, I'm a huge AEW fan. I went to their show at the Forum. I think it's great that Tony Khan, who's the owner, he's just like a fan who has money.
Which is great. And that's the best type of person to run. And Chris Daniels is there. Chris,
Fallen Angel, yes.
Chris worked for me when I had 3PW Wrestling, because I had my own company too.
And that was with an ex-boyfriend.
The blue, whatever.
The blue, right. The blue mean.
And just for the record, he did not look like that now. He doesn't, when I met him, he didn't look like what he does now. He was really skinny. So, yeah.
See, I think he's skinny now, because I recall him.
What?
Well, in full disclosure, we do talk every now and then on Twitter. but I remember him being a little heavier.
A
Uh,
little. What do you like, shallow Hal, dude?
so you had 3PW,
I like that. Yeah.
and then that. What happened with 3PW? Like,
Honestly, everyone gives all these different accounts. Like I took off with the money of the investors. How could I have done that? I didn't do that. I just didn't show up, but I made sure the money was there and I just like left. I just didn't want anything to do with anyone anymore. I got sick of all the egos and just all the stuff in the dressing room. I feel bad for Rob, like when he runs XPW or any wrestling promoter for that matter, who just has to run a back dressing room, and it's really sad because it's so much shit you have to deal with.
well, it was fascinating on Saturday. You
Yeah.
were nice enough to get me an all access pass, so like to sit in the locker room, which I don't think a lot of people realize to be a non wrestler sitting in the locker room is unheard of. Like they don't like outsiders.
No, because you sat there quietly. Plus, you're
Un-
friends with what was that guy's name? John.
John
Yeah,
Morrison.
John is nice. He was there, so I guess they saw you with him, and they knew you weren't like a mark completely.
And apparently Sabu thought I was Vampiro.
You?
Well, if you look at
Oh yeah. Okay, I
uh,
could see that.
so I think he walked by me and said, "Hey, Vamp," and I didn't know how to. I was like scared to say
Yeah.
hello.
When I worked with XWF Wrestling, I met Vampiro. So when I worked for Jimmy Hart, and that was a great thing that had a lot of potential as well. But who knows? I mean, AEW looks great. I hope they do well. I hope XPW does really well, and you could have hardcore wrestling again to what it was. You know,
Well, I'm surprised in the next card, which is August 13th
that is correct.
at the Derby in Pomona. And I highly suggest any SoCal residents go because, like Jasmin said, it's very hard to go up against the WWE. Even not that XPW is going up against
No,
them,
but they'll give
but
them a good run.
you are in AEW that they got Brian Cage in the main event against Masada, and Brian Cage is in AEW right now.
Yeah.
It's independent. PWG. I think it's a smaller promotion. It's Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, but I'm rooting for XPW
I
because
think they'll be fine. We're just unusual, and we don't believe in cancel culture. Um, I think it's great. Tanya's there, Tanya Valkyrie. I think she's a great asset. All those girls are amazing. I love having Sage Sin Supreme. She's so much fun, and I think they're going to do well. He just came back to the right area and the right time, and now he just has to, put forth the best foot forward, which he will do. Right now, we're on Fight TV. It's a lot of blood and it's a great show. It's different. And there are people that go to it, both men and women. The first show was like till 3, 4 in the morning because it was a long death match tournament. I left the show early that night. This time the show went a little late, but I don't anticipate it being that late the next time because we don't have like another tournament. We had the women's tournament this time.
and I must say, as a stand-up comedy snob,
Mm.
very few people make me laugh in comedy, but Chris Kloss, the announcer,
Oh yeah.
is a very, very funny gentleman and a great play-by-play announcer. Although I was a little sad. Nothing against Rob Blake. That's the hockey player. Rob Black's wife, who's a good color commentator. I miss Larry Rivera. Just
Get him.
because, well, I've heard he doesn't want to do wrestling anymore. Which
That's a lie.
well, I'm
It's like a drug. Trust me, it's adrenaline. And
we all have a
he wouldn't
price.
take over her thing. Maybe it would just be like some one night thing, but it's a drug. Let me tell you, everyone says never with wrestling, but it's different. Porn is like whatever, that's stupidity. But like it's boring. You're around boring people doing boring shit all day long. Wrestling's way more fun. And you can never say never to wrestling because it's great. It's like an adrenaline rush once you go into that ring. Um, and it's a lot of fun. Now I have friends that are with AEW and NWA. I worked with NWA when they first started with Jeff Jarrett. It was great. I really liked everyone there. Yes, I mean it's been a fun trip throughout wrestling, and I like it.
Can you say who your friends are in AEW, or you like to keep?
I don't really know who's in AEW though right now.
I
That
mean,
I'm
they got
friends
some
with.
big names. They have I don't work for
Oh,
AEW.
Aaron Haddad or whatever. Damien Sandow.
I love Damien
Yeah,
Sandow.
Damien's a sweetheart. I'm friends with him and April Hunter.
Very funny, by the way.
Yeah,
Damien
he's
Sandow.
great. He's super cool. I guess, like, I mean, just anyone I work with, because I don't really, I
They
have.
have a lot of New Japan people,
Oh,
which
cool.
I'm unfamiliar with, but they also have guys like obviously Jericho.
Oh, cool. I like Jericho.
Oh, he's
Well, with
the
Vince
best.
going down now with all the crap, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, but he went on TV the next night, the day after the
They're not going to
allegations,
cancel him.
and the crowd loved him.
They're not going to cancel him. I mean,
He's uncancelable.
well, I don't know. There'll be something that one day, that one ace in the hole. There always is with things like this. What's always one smoking gun when people have gotten away with like treating other people like that all their lives. And whether it's true or not, if it's not true, then I retract everything I said. But if it is true, then eventually.
I mean, the world of pro wrestling, as you know, because you're in it,
Mm,
um, Carlos Colon is in the
yeah,
WWE Hall of Fame, and it's alleged
I know.
that he was
Bruiser.
somehow involved in the killing of Bruiser Brody.
Wasn't that sad?
Well, I
Sweet
get
giant.
sad because I'm going to show you my little Kamala doll because
Oh my god.
I was watching last night Kamala against Bruiser Brody, and it just was so sad. It's my little Kamala
Oh,
doll right
cute.
there.
Now, I've met him before. He's really super cool.
And
That's
then
really
I
sad.
have my Abdullah the Butcher doll over there.
I love Abby.
I loved him until he gave my buddy hepatitis.
How
But
would he give him hepatitis? Did he sleep with him?
well, he was Abby's thing is bleeding
I
and
know.
sticking forks in his head
Oh, okay.
and he has hepatitis. That's fine. It happens. But he did not tell his opponent one night that, hey, I'm going to cut you. You cut yourself usually, like,
Yeah.
and Abby bled on him and, got into the open wound. And my buddy was scheduled to be in the WWE. They'd already said, we're going to hire you. And then they found out. So,
Is he on meds?
I don't get that. I don't know, to be honest with you,
Okay.
but,
I got it. That's so sad.
it's very hard to get into getting into WWE. I'm sure AEW, it's like trying to be a famous stand-up. It's the numbers are so small, the opportunities are so few that this guy had it, and then because Abby wasn't honest with him, like,
That's
um,
bad.
well, just.
But it's also like who you know in this business too, and friends and stuff like that. You just never know. Plus, sometimes when it's an intercompany thing, well, screw that guy. Fuck them. They're doing better or they're doing good. Fuck them. I'm gonna fuck them by taking this from them. It's always that's to me. I think that's another way that people do hiring as well in that business. I have no idea. I'm just something I heard.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you had a with 3PW, like you had to hire wrestlers and you had to like kind of have a quality control over. You weren't just the talent; now you were like the booker and the owner.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I would say I would get certain people. Yeah, I would hire people to fuck someone over on purpose.
Did you hire people to like I was who was I watching? And I hate to bring up New Jack again,
It's
but
okay. No, it's really sad.
oh no, I mean he headbutted me once at a comedy show, and it was
Good.
maybe the most frightening thing I've ever
Good. I'm glad
experienced.
he headbutted you. You probably deserved it.
No, I really didn't.
Well, I don't care. It's New Jack.
I that's the thing. I was the host of this show at Lucky Strike Bowling Alley.
Oh no.
Keep your panties on. And he just show ends. He stands up and goes, "You a funny motherfucker," and just
Boink.
headbutts me. And his head, and is it's like as hard as this table. And then he just walked off like nothing.
Yeah, that's about right.
So I was watching a match where who was he tagging with? And he told the guy, "Stay away from me. I'm going after this guy. I've been hired to hurt this guy." And he was a cocky white dude who was disrespectful of the business.
Who, Mass Transit?
No, that's another great story I'd like to get in. So long story short, he told the guy, "Stay away from me in the ring. I don't want to hurt you.
Oh, that's sad.
I'm going after this guy." And he broke the guy's leg. You weren't around for the mass
No,
transit
he
thing, were
was.
you?
Well, he was in the back dressing room, like telling everyone how he wanted the match to go. It
So
was
you
in,
were there.
yeah, I was in Boston. And he's like, "Oh, He would lied about his age. The mom's in the outside. He's only 16 or whatever." And he was rude. He had like a cigarette. You don't go into a town saying you want to go over and telling someone how to do this.
With New Jack
Yeah, he hit
specifically.
him with the lip of the chair. That's the whole running joke. The other night at XPW, I'm like, "So should I hit Veronica with the lip of the chair?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "You sure?" They're like, "Just don't hit it." I wouldn't do that to her.
Well, so for those of you, before we get into this, because I'm fascinated by this story, and by the way, I will take you to dinner anywhere you want, just because it's so fucking hot in here. I do apologize. Mass transit incident was this incident where I think Big Dick Dudley was supposed to tag with Devon Dudley, the Black Dudley brother, and it was the gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa. I think Big Dick Dudley it was either Big Dick Dudley or Balls Mahoney. They were supposed to be um, Devon's tag partner. They don't show up, family illness or something. So they needed a tag team partner for Devon. And you have this massive 17-year-old kid, probably 400 pounds.
He was under, yeah. He was very under
350, 400 pounds.
Very unhealthy.
Dressed as a transit cop. And I guess he snuck backstage, somehow got
he had a cigarette.
In touch with Paul Heyman,
A local indie worker.
What part of the country you're from? Said, "Hey, I'm a wrestler. I was trained by so and so. I hear you need a substitute." And I don't know exactly what went down, but I think Paul said, "Yeah, we're gonna call you
Mass Transit."
Mass. The kid had another name he wanted to use.
I forgot. It's just Mass Transit.
And then I think Paul said, "No, the kid wanted to do like a Ralph. He wanted to be called Ralph Cramden.
Yeah, like the
Jackie Gleason honeymoon." And I think Paul was like, who does have a great mind for the business. We're gonna call you Mass Transit. And so, like you said, you take it from here because he went in the locker room.
Mass Transit incident for reasons that are very. It ended up in court, and the judge threw it out of court. She was like, "Wait, is this like the wrestling you see on TV? Then why is this in my courtroom?" It's really sad because. What happens when you've got to have a certain degree of respect for people when you're in a dressing room in wrestling. Going there smoking cigarettes and like telling someone who's been a veteran how you want the show to go isn't the way you do things. So nonetheless, to make a long story short.
No, keep it long.
New Jack hit him with the lip of the chair by accident. And
you sure it was by accident?
Yeah, it was by accident. Sure. They had to start an IV in the ring on him. Like he was really like he couldn't move. We thought he was dead.
Well, you're leaving out the part where New Jack cut him with a surgical scalpel.
Yeah, I thought, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a monopoly. It was an operation that yeah.
I've studied this event because I'm so fascinated.
It was fucking scary as fuck. He's like, yeah, and he had that psycho look in his face, and that's just what happens when you piss off OG people in that business because they will go after you. And it's a thing of respect. But cutting him with the scalpel, yeah, that was a bit much. But
well, he went in. I've seen a few interviews where he walked into the locker room. He's like drinking the beer.
And he was smoking.
And he sits down next to Taz, who I've been told is a pretty hardcore, clean living dude and not someone I'd want to piss off. And starts smoking by him, and Taz like who the fuck is this guy?
Like, who the fuck are you jabroing?
Well, that's why like Saturday night, I'm just gonna stare at my phone. If someone says hello to me, I'll say hi back. I'm because Dirty Ron was like, "Hey man, who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a comic." "Oh yeah, I know you." And Rob Black looked at me at one point trying to figure out who I was. I'm like, "I'm just look at your phone. If he says anything, I'm friends with Jasmin." I'm just gonna throw you under the bus, but
fuck you. Just say yeah. No, just.
Well, then
you got a VIP pass.
I think Veronica gave me a he's with us, so it was all good.
Yeah, because you were trying to get us drunk. That's why. And then you turned down a threesome.
Well, I think you guys were already drunk when I got there. To be honest,
I was not drunk. It was Kahlua and ice cream. I was drinking Jack and Coke, helping Big Joe and Veronica and Patrick put together weapons for the show. So I was buzzed, making weapons, which was fine. Then I was at the bar having Kahlua with ice cream mashed in, and Joe told the guy to make that for me. Yeah, you're right. Maybe something is. Yeah, I think it's kind of hot that he's like beating him. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Well, you also said to Big Joe,
he's hot.
Big effing Joe, but very good looking guy. Like,
Fuck yeah.
I'm straight, but when I walked up and you introduced me to him, I'm like, this is a good looking guy. Like, no scars that I saw.
Handsome guy.
He has to have scars after the match.
Yeah, I tell him you could sleep at my place if you want. And he's like, I'll get blood all over your sheets. I'm like, never mind.
And you walked up to him and said, "Oh, my friend Earl says he can kick your ass." And he looked at me like, these guys have they have a button that once it's pressed, it's hard to turn off. And I'm like, "Oh, she's just kidding, bro. I no." And he looked at me, he's like, "Yeah, you probably could." I'm like, "No, I couldn't. So I'm gonna go get a wiener or something." So you're like the queen of erotica, the queen of wrestling. And by the way, you were great in the match. For those of you who weren't there, which I assume is a lot, you had an angle with Veronica and who was the other?
That's Skank, whatever her name is.
No,
I love her, Misha.
Misha, who it was.
She's with Schlack, but like she's coming into a ring she knows nothing about. She hasn't trained like we've trained. So yeah, maybe I'll go take a Singapore training and like smash her the next time or some crap.
Well, I don't want to break the fourth wall here, but because I was lucky enough to be in the locker room, I heard you guys discussing, your coaching,
Yeah, no, I had to, yeah.
Because she had never been in a, I don't want to call it a sketch, but a, there's a spot between the three of you.
Well, yeah, that's why I said just move out of the way. And if you don't move, one of us will push you. So
right.
Just move. And she got it. Then with the cat fight, I was showing her the whole thing. But yeah, there'll be more of that, I think. I mean, I think Rob's basically one of the few companies that still uses managers like the right way. And other companies do too. I know Veronica she's really great to work with. She's fun. Even though she was there after me with XPW, she was still like a lot of fun to work with. So,
well, I a shout out to Veronica, and I hope when you share this, she listens to it.
Well, we can have a threesome. No, I'm joking.
I mean, anything's possible.
You. No.
I can make it work.
No, she's a happily married. She's not, I don't know.
But well, you and I can maybe.
She's happily whatever, wifed up or something. Yeah.
But she looked at me when you had left to help Joe with his weapons. By the way, the cross light bulb.
I know, wasn't it great?
Unbelievable.
And Schlack's there like praying to him. I'm like, oh, this is not happening.
She looked at me like, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And I'm like, "No, I was trying to be respectful because I really don't watch a lot of porn.
Good.
It's just the close-ups. Just I can't."
What with the cock?
Well, I don't. Well, no, it's like you're a beautiful woman, and I'm not trying to be creepy.
No, thank you. It's okay if you're inappropriate with me.
Hello, but a woman's vagina is beautiful.
Right.
However,
I get what you're saying.
After a 9, 10, 11, 12-inch dick has been in it,
yeah.
all that's it's the close-up that just like
we've never had 9 or 10 or 11-inch cocks just to make this, just to.
But 7-inch, let's go with that. That it's like and double team scenes and I'm very a visual person.
Right.
Like the way you look now. Beautiful. Like the hair looks great. The outfit looks great. Tan skin. The fingernails are on point. So it's visually appealing to me.
All the more long to like run down your back.
But
joking.
If you were to show me a close up of your no area after a scene, all that beautifulness would be erased out of my head.
I totally get what you're saying. And I guess doing dirty films like that was the whole, like I was doing anal way in the beginning when, I got into that, I guess there weren't a lot of girls doing that. But yeah, I mean, that's not something I would actually do in my real life.
Anal?
No.
Okay. I've only had it once.
How did it feel?
Well, it's funny. It happened right there.
Did you use lube?
No, here's the deal.
How'd your ass feel then?
Oh no, I was not on the receiving end. I was
fun of you.
She's with my girlfriend at the time, and like I said, I'm a giving lover, so it gets wet down there easy. And she's like, "Earl, you've got to slow down." I'm like, "Why?" Because we were in that zone of like, and she's like, "You're not in my pussy."
Ouch.
I just moved an inch or two, and it was I don't know, I just like regular sex, I guess. because I can't. Here's my thing with anal. I know you get enemas and all that to make it like super clean and all that. It's just not.
No, I get it. Trust me.
People have their things. Like, what is your thing sexually? And I'm not trying to be dirty, but like, do you have like when you're with a boyfriend or I guess
Yeah, to cut the guy and have sex with him in his own blood.
that's your thing?
I got a knife with me.
Yeah, I'm a bleeder though. Like, and my blood's
You could
pure.
be wrestling. You could wrestle.
Maybe we could do a video where I play Abdullah the Butcher and you just jab me in the forehead and, you know, I don't know. That would go viral. A Jasmin St. Clair Earl Skakel sex tape, forget about it.
Right? What the fuck?
Well, we'll work on that. So now, but let's get into, you also act in regular films.
Yes, all the time, yes.
So is that, because I'm very curious when you go into audition, because you have a, did you do UCB background, improv?
Well, I've done Strasbourg, I've done UCB, I've done Groundlings, I've done Second City.
So you're legit. You're not like just some
and it's
bimbo.
like my last year of Meisner now. I have like half a year left. We have the first workshop coming up. This is the third workshop we have coming up at the end of July. Then we have the last portion of the whole Meisner program for impediments. So this whole thing has been relationships, but I took classes before, like at Leslie Kahn, Bill O'Leary. Like I've done other things, audition techniques. I've done dialects with like the goddess of this. Her name is Cooper Shaw. I met her at Second City, so we've basically mastered French, Italian, and all three British dialects. So yeah, I just focus on the things I do best at. But it's been fun going into auditions and auditioning, and like I have no, problems doing that. Of course, I get jobs too through friends who know me, and it's been great. I do that. Then I have my one woman show, so I suffered from stage fright. And yet I have no problem getting up on stage and doing a show. So far I have a date in New York, September 16th, Boston, September 14th at Laugh Boston, New York City, the Cutting Room, and then September 20th in Chicago at the Annoyance Theater, which I'm super stoked about. So I'm just looking for like an LA date next, because I had shows at Second City before, but we no longer have a theater there.
And who knows? That could be at the Comedy Store.
I hope so. I'd love to do the Belly Room. I think would be really a great show, and it's an LA show for sure, and an LA story.
And guys in chat, keep the comments complimentary to Jasmin. Some of you, this guy, I know you don't care, but you're nice enough to come to my house, and this guy's like, put a pro wrestling figure in her mud hole. Come on, dude.
Why don't we stick into your mom's mud hole?
Yeah,
if
bitch.
we haven't already.
It's because of that outrageous comment. I'm ending the Instagram live feed.
Oh no, it's okay.
No. Here, it's how
Just
you do it.
Him.
This is how you do it.
What do we do?
If you want to hear the rest of Jasmin's interview with me, you got to go on Apple Podcasts when it's out later.
How fun.
So I love you guys all. This will be out sooner than later.
Poor pathetic little boy.
I mean, really, dude, have some class.
It's funny, like how the internet now allows people to just disrespect people. Like if I have a problem with you, I'll just tell you to your face, blah, 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 whatever. And that's it. But nowadays it's like you have keyboard warriors, like when you had wrestling chat rooms.
Well, I think Mike Tyson said it the best. He said something to the effect of everyone has gotten tougher with no consequences behind the keyboard.
Backhand.
But someone call you a whore. Someone call me, you're not funny. Mm-hmm. You know how many times I get that, or they make fun of a body part or whatever.
We had an incident in New York City at my show last year.
Talk about it.
Yeah, so it was in the audience, and I didn't know who these guys were, but it was legit. The guy tried to throw some insult at me. My girlfriend Lisa is there. She like threatened to knock the guy's head off. She's like pulling her sleeves up. I'm like, oh, she's like, you ready to go, bitch? I'll fucking knock you out. The photographer who's photographing the show put his camera down, knocked the guy out, then escorted him out. It was wild, and that is not part of the show.
Let me ask you this, though, because since you're...
But I like having people open up for me in my show.
You're looking...
Yeah.
I might go to New York and do the Cutting Room show.
You need to be... You have to do it here, too.
Well, at the Comedy Store. Well, Jasmin is also coming on the
Wednesday.
Comedy Store Wrestling Podcast this Wednesday. That would be... the 6th, July 6th. 8 p.m.
Oh, I can have alcohol. Ooh,
Yes, well,
yeah.
I'll set you up with some drinks. Maybe after the show, you'll
Go to the
you
Rainbow.
can watch comedy or
Yeah,
whatnot,
I'll stay after and watch comedy.
and then you go to the Rainbow.
I'll go to the Rainbow beforehand.
You won't have to be creeped out by Ron Jeremy anymore at the
I was
Rainbow.
never creeped out by him.
Well,
I know a lot of girls, and I was with him. I hung out with him many years. And the girl that is a legend, all this, I forgot to tell you in the 90s.
Please do.
She had like a serious drug problem. I guess everyone's forgetting that. And she'd like glom onto him like my cat gloms onto my neck like every single morning. So I don't know. I think like a lot of these times they're witch hunts. I think he's just so far like out of it with things. Has he been inappropriate? Yeah, but I don't know about all this stuff with underage. I wasn't there, but I was there with other incidents that were alleged that are like slowly but surely like dwindling off.
I mean,
But he smells like Brute.
he used to come to the Comedy Store, and
Yeah, he brought me there.
before I knew of these allegations and whatnot. I was so excited because, um, he's, before these things were made known, as an iconic figure in the LA community.
I traveled with him for a year and a half.
Yeah,
remember?
I mean, he is or was like the Robert De Niro of porn, like in terms of his proficiency of, I saw some book in the Hustler store once. It was the basically the IMDb for porn actors.
Oh.
And like you were in it, and you had like a page of
Wow.
all your films.
Do.
But and then Tom Byron was in it, and he had like 2 or 3 pages. Ron Jeremy had like literally 50 pages. Like it was.
I believe it.
He's like the Tommy Lee Jones of porn in terms of his work output. And he would come to the Comedy Store, and I do porn jokes, and he liked them, and then he'd fall asleep in the back row, and because he has narcolepsy.
Yep.
I hope he doesn't have that in prison, because when you're a guy with how big is his weenie?
I don't know. I've never worked with him,
but it's pretty big.
Well, look, I've seen it up close. I'll tell you the story after because I used to travel with him.
I mean, it's not small.
No, but don't forget he was doing stand-up. Oh, God. Yeah, God.
So I hope he doesn't have narcolepsy in prison. A guy with a big dick who falls asleep in prison.
Suck it or fuck it.
That's Virgil, the wrestler's allegedly can suck his own dick, but he's been on this podcast, so I hope you're.
I'm not friends with him.
Okay, well, no, I didn't say you were friends.
Yeah,
with
he
him.
like threatened me. He made like serious like death threats.
Virgil?
Yeah, Virgil from Pittsburgh, who was like a cop or something. Yeah.
Wait, Virgil? Really?
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll pass that. I didn't know about that. So let's get to a serious question.
Okay, so with Ron Jeremy, when he was doing stand-up comedy, and he was doing a little act before my feature dance routine in the 90s, right? We did this for about a year. We shared a dressing room, like the bigger dressing rooms we'd share. There was nothing inappropriate. He'd make his little joke here and there, but there were women basically throwing themselves at him. There were men who would pay him $20 to take a photo of his penis in these women's mouths. So when you tell me he did this stuff at the Rainbow, and I've been there many times where there were girls, these 2 gorgeous Finnish girls were throwing themselves at him and wanting to make out and FaceTiming their boyfriends. I'm like, this is freaking insane. Like he grabbed my ass a couple times. It's like, whatever. But he just looks really out of it. And I feel really bad for him. I almost feel as though his family wants him just to stay there so he's off the streets, because there's someone with a video of him in an Uber and he just looked out of it. It's really sad.
Well, I mean,
was this girl like a webcam girl trying to get a payday?
Who knows? Well, let's get back to you.
Oh, thank you.
Do you find when you go in to audition for like a regular film role that right away the casting people go, "Oh, that's the porn girl"?
Look, it's all in my resume. My manager is really cool. I love my agent. She's awesome. And no, they want to see how you clean up. Sometimes when you get cast for like an older or younger version of someone, they're not even looking at your performance. I was cast in a film, Daughters of Dolomite. I played the girl's mother, but they had us come in the same day. You see? So when they cast us, that's what they were looking for. Sometimes, no one's going to say anything. Everything is on my freaking resume when you got it. Howard Stern show as herself, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's on there. And there's no big deal with it. People in Hollywood and just in entertainment, I feel, is so uptight that they could use people that actually have the skills and do things. And, being in class with people like at Second City, I accidentally got through all the way through to the grad review, which is the highest of the highest. I did improv 1 through 3. Fine. Then they had this whole conservatory. I'm sitting there in class with my girlfriend Kristen and other people, these young kids, and the teacher Tim Paul, who later became the director of my one woman show. And he's like, "Oh, so who's auditioning for conservatory?" Everyone's like raising their hands, these 8 or 9 kids, and they're just looking at me and like, "What? I'm not fucking auditioning." Then I got like swindled into it, right? I did the audition, I passed. Then we're in the conservatory levels 1 through 3. The first day of conservatory 1, it's this teacher named Ron West. He's like, "Yeah, so this is how the whole journey works." I'm like, "This is a fucking cult." He's like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah." Then when you get a grad review, I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So then I met my best friend Neva in Conservatory 1, and we ended up producing this whole web series, Future Rich Wives Club, because we do the voices. Holy shit, Sharon, holy shit, Sharon. Oh my God. Well, it's just this whole thing. We make fun of the housewives with those Valley Girl accents, and the characters were Sharon and Sharona. So then in what is this conservatory 1 to 3, then you have to audition for 4 and 5. So I auditioned for 4. I'm like, I'm not getting in. I did a musical improv piece with this kid Jack, because they just send you up there with people and they just like give you the shit to go do this. We passed. Then finally for grad review, I didn't think I was going to get in. I got in. I'm in New York City shooting The Deuce, the TV show, and then I look at the email and refreshing it. I got in. I'm like, "Oh, cool." Then I graduated that. Now what? Then I have a one woman show. So it was great. UCB was great too. It's a different style of a Harold. I mean, it's all stuff just originated from Del Close. So when you have to look into the origins of improv, you look into Del Close, who's the godfather of that. I didn't have a chance to go to IO West um, or take classes with him, unfortunately. Then I did Groundlings, and that's like a thing of its own. I think the best teacher there was Emily Pendergast. She's an amazing teacher. She's on the show Veep. I had some great classmates as well, like Bright and these other girls, Alexis, and all these cool people in classes there. Now at Meisner, I'm enjoying it. Part of it is hybrid. So I have one student in France, one in Germany, one in like Minnesota. It's really cool, but then everyone else is in person, and the teachers at the school in LA are really good. Like I would never take a Meisner class anywhere else except there. It's the Ruskin School. So John's cool. He runs the school. Then I have the same partner as I did before. This guy Jermaine. He's this like bigger African American guy. It's really funny because the scene is from Revolutionary Road. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie. It's really good, but it's a whole status thing. So it's been great so far working with him. I can't wait to put the scene up on its legs in a few weeks. We just have to run it some more. And the teacher who's teaching it is hot. This guy Mikey, he's really hot. But yeah, he is. He's like a hot teacher.
I'm sure, yeah.
But yeah,
I'm jealous now that you find somebody else.
But he's not as tall as you, Earl. He's not as crazy as you are.
Okay, well,
but you own a condo, man. That's like
that's a nice selling point.
That's so cool. I had no idea. I'm like, oh, so he's not renting. He's not the total.
No, I'm an owner. My car's owned. I own my car.
Oh, what kind of car?
Jeep, fully loaded.
That is so white.
Well, I had a Dodge Hellcat. It's a lovely car. It's like 7,000 horsepower.
Right.
But in LA, I mean, you experience this in your car right over here as traffic's out of control.
I have a motorcycle usually. I don't want to take a bike today. So.
I mean, I like Sons of Anarchy, but that's as close as I will get to
yeah, I mean, it's just, I watch that show, but I watch a lot of stuff. I'm still stuck. Like, I loved American Horror Story, season 9, 1984. It's my favorite one. I'm like, they should have just stayed with that because that was one of the coolest eras, like 80s through 90s.
Well, the best.
And I have to tell you, like, the characters were great. Like, you need a show that focuses on that era. We already had The Deuce. Just something else that's cool that has that whole breakup of cancel culture before it came in and like ruined everything.
Well, I loved on the back of the XPW t-shirts that it said you can't cancel what's been canceled.
What's never been canceled.
So once again, August 13th at the Derby in Pomona. Yeah, will you be involved in anything?
Yeah, are you coming out that night?
I will, because I'm a big Brian Cage fan, and I'm fascinated that he would. I guess when I see a mainstream guy like him go into XPW, I'm curious, like, they're not going to cut Brian
I don't know what
Cage.
they're gonna do, but I mean, you never know. You never say never. It's like a fresh thing right now, XPW, because there's a younger generation. When I was at LAX Fan Fest, there were a lot of people who said they were at the show, but they didn't stay that long. But they're coming back, and there are more people this time than there were. I mean, it's just there are people at a fight that night too. Was there a UFC fight?
There was,
Yeah,
but
but yeah, it's back now, and people should just come. XPW is not canceled. You can't cancel XPW.
you can. I mean, and there's a whole new roster of talent. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I, I sound old saying this, but I so miss the XPW that I grew up with, which was just insanity. Terry Funk,
You never say
Supreme,
never. They're new people. I mean, I wonder if it's really cool because I had fun managing Damian Steele. He was the first XPW champ ever.
right?
But we had an off screen thing, like an off out of the ring thing as well, like in real life. And maybe that's what really like broke the whole thing. I don't know like what happened with us. It was really it's a really fucked up story, but we had a real out of the ring romance.
I mean, it's like comic stadium. It's tough. It's not easy.
It was, yeah, he was my type too, like a big white guy. So yeah, of course, everyone knows like that's the Jasmine.
The big white guy. Well, I do fit that
You do
requirement.
fit that, yeah, unless there's something you're not telling me.
I mean, I am white. I definitely.
You're a big white guy, yeah.
But like I miss Angel.
Yeah, I love Angel. He was at the last show. He might be coming back. I love Angel's character. I miss
Angel is a
Supreme.
gay.
He really is.
Really one of the first. Of course, the WWE back in the day had Adrian Adonis, who was, I believe, gay in real life. So, but, and then who else? Well, you had Billy and Chuck. And actually, last week on the Comedy Store Wrestling podcast, we had Fred Rosser,
Yeah.
who is, out and I believe, is the first openly gay mainstream wrestler to be out. So that was really interesting to hear how he, because I brought up like, because Fred's a mentor to a lot of, I'm assuming there's more gay pro wrestlers, but they're not out. And
Yeah.
because they're afraid of, I asked Fred on the podcast, do you think part of the reason gay wrestlers aren't out is because they're afraid of how certain wrestlers were portrayed? Like Adrian Adonis
Yeah.
was portrayed as this fat, toward the end of his career, buffoonish gay character. Angel,
Oh, I love Angel.
but he was portrayed as like this kind of twinky Mexican gay guy.
He'll kick your ass.
Oh,
Fucker.
100%. His match with Veronica Kane, or not against her, but
Yeah, with her.
was, if anyone wants to see what
It
XPW
was
is about,
fun.
I can't think there's two matches I will direct people to go to XPW to go, okay, I see what Earl and Jasmin are talking about. The Vic Grimes New Jack scaffold match. It still holds up to this day as maybe the most insane final stunt, I guess you'd call it, spot I've ever seen. And the Angel Veronica Kane raw sewage match.
Yeah, that was screwed up. And then of course, like watch Inception, which is the very first XPW show ever. Then you'll see the first, that's we had like a cage match. I came up through like underneath the ring into the ring. And then we had that's with Damian Steele. I don't know what Damian's doing these days, but it would be cool if we got the first XPW champ back. I don't know how we'd really interact with each other after this time, because it ended really, really bad with us. Then I was dating the guy from Slayer, but we had a really bad, it was a really fucked up way how things ended with us and something I did after.
I find with bad breakups, time heals all wounds. Most of the time.
There's another piece to this puzzle.
Well, I mean, without knowing,
He was married.
Oh, he was married. Well, that, that that's a fly in the ointment for sure. But most of the time, I mean, I'm friends with,
he was a good person,
literally 95% of my exes, one night stands, booty calls, whatever you want to. There's maybe one or two I don't talk to, and just
why?
Even in those two cases, I tried. Today, let's be friends. We're gonna, because
I don't really talk to exes, like not as of late. Like maybe the first one, like from high school, he does tattoos. And then my other one, who's the Irish mobster and that Hell's Angel, like I'll speak to them still.
Well, I don't go out of my way to talk to them. I still am friends with the first girl who I ever had sex with. That's 33 years ago. We don't talk a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe once. She's married, doctor, kids. But anytime I'm back east, I say, hey, bring your husband to a comedy show,
No, that's sweet. Like I'll talk to the Westie now. Like we talk all the time because we're good friends still to this day. Plus, I don't know who has a restraining order on whoever now. I don't know. Yeah, things get complicated though. Like you have birthdays and shit. You want to wish someone a happy birthday. You can't do it if there's a restraining order intact.
That does prevent things. So,
Yeah.
Jasmin, I can't think. Well, first of all, you mentioned, let's end on this.
Yes, my dear.
By the way, Wednesday, July 6th, Comedy Store Wrestling Podcast. Jasmin will be returning to the podcast world with me. And my co-host Eddie Torres.
Yes, and then my podcast also.
Yes, the Crazy Town.
No, it's Crazy Train with Jasmin St. Clair. It's Crazy with a K, Train with Jasmin St. Clair. The last guest I had on was Diane Neal of Law and Order. She's an awesome guest, and she's also a Scorpio.
And Diane Neal.
Diane Neal, yes.
Jasmin's been nice enough to put me in touch with her. I'm a big Dick Wolf fan, and a lot of people always Dick Wolf a porn star.
No.
That sounds like a porn.
I love the show. Yeah.
Dick Wolf, just to show you this man's legacy. He might be the most famous, unfamous person on the planet. He has been involved in hit television shows from Miami Vice. Think about that. Miami Vice came out in 1983 to every Law and Order, and other shows. I mean, I think he's a billionaire. You can make a lot of money in TV. Very few people can say they're a billionaire from it.
Chuck Lorre.
Yes, Chuck Lorre, Aaron Spelling.
Yeah.
And a few others, but so I'm fascinated to talk to Diane Neal.
She's fascinating. She has wild stories as well. But yeah, I've had all kinds of guests on Crazy Train podcast. From Seth Ferranti, who produced the White Boy Rick documentary, who was like a super young felon. He sold weed when he was younger. I've had ex-porn stars, current porn stars.
Comics.
I've had comics. Earl Skakel came on the show and I was hitting on him, but it was great.
Well, you intimidate me. But
I don't intimidate you. Whatever. The knife's in my back. It's not in my hand. We're cool.
So you mentioned dating a Hell's Angel.
Yeah. Sonny Barger died yesterday.
Yes, rest in peace to Sonny Barger, who was very, I guess you'd say he was a consultant on Sons of Anarchy.
He worked on the show. He's a consultant, but he's basically a big death in bike culture.
Yes, because they're and it's funny, there is a tattoo shop right up the street that is, I don't want to say it's run or owned.
Yeah, I know whose store it is.
The Vagos.
Yep.
Who are I don't know how it works in the bike world. I don't know if they're competition with the Hells Angels, if they're friends.
They're not competition. They're not friends.
They're not friends. And they had a thing here maybe about a year ago. It was a Saturday night. It was almost like a block party. And some of the Mongols like showed up, and the tension was insane. Like it went from, because a few of the Vagos had recognized me. They're like, oh my God, you're that comic.
Yeah.
Roast battle. So I start talking to them. And then 2 or 3 Mongol bikes came and like did like not drive by, but like they did a look-see. And every Vago
slowing down.
Stiffened up, and they were organizing like, hey, we might have to deal with something. Earl, we'll talk to you later.
You slow down by just keeping your hand on the clutch very slowly and just kind of clutching. It's called easy riding is what I call it. And you just kind of like, just sort of look around.
Yeah, it was a very like these Mongols were definitely like sizing up.
Yeah, it's so scary. But I'd rather be like in the middle of that than like some of the other shit that goes on.
So we're going to talk about more about that Wednesday. Jasmin, where can people find you on the internet?
So it's The Real Jasmin St. Clair on Instagram. Jasmin does not have an E. St. Clair does. So The Real Jasmin St. Clair on Instagram. Okay. And then on Twitter, it's just Jasmin St. Clair. I've got one of those blue check marks. Facebook, Jasmin St. Clair, no E again. And also check out my podcast, Crazy Train with Jasmin St. Clair. That's crazy with a K. And there's some good stories on there too in the beginning, like the first 4 or 5 episodes. And I met you through Greg Alpern, by the way, who produces the podcast. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Very funny comic.
Who looks like always sends hot guys my way, which is just terrible.
And this has been one of my favorite episodes. This is, you know, I've only had one other person involved in the porn industry on this podcast. Kate Kennedy, who also does stand up, but she was
she's no Elliot Janine, please.
well, no, I think she was was nominated for best anal or something.
Yeah, like I said, she's no Elliot Janine. Elliot Janine is awesome.
Who is? This has been Inappropriate, Earl, guys. You know the deal. Apple Podcasts, leave a review, rate, subscribe. You know, it helps with the algorithms. Jasmin will tell you it's all a scam on these podcast platforms. You know, we can't get guests like Jasmin unless it's a popular podcast and people like Jasmin want to do it. I was lucky enough to know her. So if you want me to interview other big name guests, no one's going to go on a podcast where they think it's
lame.
So leave a goddamn review. Inappropriate Earl. We'll be back for more when I can get someone else to come to my house. I love you guys.